is the Reformanda Initiative podcast, where we analyze and discuss Roman Catholic theology and practice from an evangelical perspective. My name is Reed Carr. I'm the Associate Director of the Reformanda Initiative. I'm coming to you from Rome, Italy, where finally we're getting a little relief from the terribly long summer heat. And today, actually, which is probably different from a lot of different other places in the world, our kids are going back to school today. So the summer is kind of officially over and getting back into the fall routines, which all the parents are very, very thankful for. But I am being joined today by a fellow of the Reformanda Initiative and a longtime contributor, Mark Gilbert, who's joining us from Sydney, Australia. Mark, how long have you been collaborating with the Reformanda Initiative now?
Oh, it would be about 7 or 8 years, I think, Reed. It's been a while now, which has been wonderful.
Yeah, Mark's been at pretty much every one of the Rome Scholars and Leaders Network, is always a valuable contributor. He helps us specifically also with helping evangelicals to understand how to share the gospel with Roman Catholics. Mark himself comes from a Roman Catholic background. He was Roman Catholic and came to know the Lord in university. He was training to be a doctor before joining the ministry or going into the ministry. Is that correct, Mark? Do I remember correctly?
Yeah, that's right. I still work a day a week as a doctor, a GP, general practitioner, or family physician. That takes a little bit of pressure off the fundraising for growing this ministry. So my heart and my time is spent in gospel ministry, particularly helping to encourage and equip people to talk to people from a Roman Catholic background about Jesus, because it's such a fruitful and a great place to be doing ministry.
Yeah, Mark, hopefully Mark's name is not new to our listeners, although maybe if you're a new listener, but if you go back to episode 38 of our podcast, Mark joined us and provided practical tips for sharing the gospel with Roman Catholicism. He also went into a bit of his story, how the Lord saved him out of Roman Catholicism. So go back and listen to episode 38 as well, which is extremely helpful. Mark's also the author of different books, The God Who Saves, The Road Once Traveled, Stepping Out in Faith. Any other books that I'm missing, Mark?
Oh, there's just the one that we've been working on together, which is that still a secret, or do people know about that one?
I don't think so. Yeah, give a brief introduction to it.
Okay. Well, next year is the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea, and a key council in the development of the Nicene Constantinople Creed. And Roman Catholicism, as part of its usual pattern, is using that creed as a way to try and unite all Christian, Orthodox, Catholic churches around this creed. And at the Rome Scholars Network, we want to say, yes, we do need to be united around Christ, but when we say the words of the creed, we're not always saying the same thing. So to be aware of what Catholics and Protestants particularly mean by the words of the creed as they say them helps us to have a unity based on truth in Christ rather than an appearance of unity based on something that is less substantial.
And that will be coming out with Matthias Media, which is a publishing house in Australia, who, Mark, most of your books are with them, correct?
Yeah. Australia and the US, they have a company in the US as well, MatthiasMedia.com. And yes, they'll be publishing it probably late this year or early next year.
Yeah, we'll definitely let everybody know about that. Probably do several episodes on it. Mark contributed a chapter to it. I did as well. Clay Kennard did, our communications director. Leonardo, the director, did, of course, and our other fellows. And we'll introduce that book and give it a lot of attention whenever the time comes out. But thank you for introducing that. We'll put links to Mark's books in the notes of this episode. Mark also works for Certainty for Eternity, which is an organization that helps the church, equips the church to share the gospel with people from a Roman Catholic background. And Mark, I came across some bio that says that you're an evangelist and share the gospel with people on the northern beaches of Sydney. Is that still something you're engaged in regularly?
Oh,
What does that look? What does that look like what does that look like? Yeah.
On a Sunday morning, now that we on the other side of the planet are just about to head into summer, where a lot of people in Australia live, within a couple of kilometres of the beach, and the beach culture is a very big part of Australian culture, and part of that are surf lifesaving clubs, which are local clubs of people who patrol the beaches and basically help to keep what can be sometimes dangerous surf as safe as possible for people that swim there. And I'm a chaplain to the local Surf Lifesaving Club, which is full of people from a Catholic background. It was quite intentional offering my services there because Catholics value good works. And surf lifesaving and saving people in the surf is something that many Roman Catholics would highly value as a good thing to do. So there are lots of Catholics in surf lifesaving communities. And the other thing that attracts a lot of people from Roman Catholic background into clubs like this is community. Catholics have very much of a communal understanding of what it is to live as a person, and the importance of committing to community is highly valued amongst Roman Catholics. So the Surf Lifesaving Club is full of people from Roman Catholic background. Most of them don't know the gospel, so that's why I'm there.
Very good.
Sunday mornings, I've got sand between my toes, and I'm wearing my board shorts and a nice chaplain shirt. And most Sundays I get a chance to have a really good chat with someone about Jesus who doesn't know him yet. So I love that.
That's great. Well, we'll be praying for those initiatives, especially as you said, in your part of the world, summer is coming up where ours is just ending. Yeah. So we'll be praying for those outings and engagements with people. Lord will use it and bless it.
Thanks.
So, but we have you on today to talk about a new course, a resource that you and colleagues have put together. It's called Talking with Catholics About Jesus. And we'll also put in the notes of this episode, because it's a great introductory video to it and a promotional video for it, in which you talk about this course. But I believe the first things you say there is that according to a 2021 census, there's 1.3 billion Catholics in the world. So it's inevitable that you're going to come in contact with someone who is either Roman Catholic or, shaped and influenced by Roman Catholicism in some way, or has relatives or close friends that are Roman Catholic. So it's important that the evangelical church and evangelicals are equipped to understand where they're coming from, their worldview, how Roman Catholicism has shaped their worldview, and engage with that, because it's very difficult. And a good way to put it, we've said often on this on this podcast, is it isn't a matter of same words, different worlds, right? We're using the same words, our vocabulary is very similar, but the theological worlds that are represented by those terms is very different. So it's important that the church is equipped to engage with Roman Catholics in a loving and gospel honoring way. So talking with Catholics about Jesus serves that purpose. So tell us a little bit about this course and what its goal is and how it came about and who's collaborating with you.
Yeah, love to. So I've been talking in churches for about 20 years now about Roman Catholicism. And when I turn up to a church, usually it's the first time in their context that they've had an opportunity to engage directly about Roman Catholicism and what Catholics believe. So lots of people in churches have got lots of questions. They want a safe space to discuss and explore these questions. So the aim of the course is to create that space, particularly in small groups, where Protestants can get together and try to sympathetically understand Roman Catholicism and Roman Catholic worldview. The bottom line is that most Roman Catholics don't know the gospel, so we have an obligation to share the gospel with them in a way that makes sense for them. And a key part of that is understanding them. And flowing out of that, we want ideas, practical tips, encouragement for ways that we can spend our time and our efforts in seeking to share the gospel with people from a Roman Catholic background. So having a conversation about that, sharing some ideas, provoking small groups to come up with their own ideas and ways of encouraging each other to share the gospel with Roman Catholics is what this course is all about.
So does it work? You mentioned small groups and that. How is it managed? Who leads it? Who attends? Yeah. How do you vision that it's put into practice?
Yeah, thanks, Reid. Look, one of the things that we tried to do as we created this course is to support the pastors of churches and to support the leaders of small groups in churches. Where I come from, our ministers will, from time to time, talk explicitly about Roman Catholicism and Roman Catholic teachings. And often that will be the only Sunday that they will be criticised for what they've had to say. There are strong feelings in our community and throughout the world about not expressing disagreement with or division with Roman Catholicism because of historical conflicts. Wars have been fought about this sort of thing and in not too distant memory. So there's concern in the community about even raising the subjects about what do Catholics believe. Is it the same as what we believe? Is it different to what we believe? And when pastors talk about these things on Sunday, they're still often kind of criticised for doing that. Another pressure that pastors face is also the situation that in any given Sunday, hopefully there are people in church that have come from a Roman Catholic background that still might be very committed to the institution of the Catholic Church. And because of the way that the Catholic Church emphasises the institution of the Catholic Church and the importance to trust that institution, it takes time often for Catholics to kind of, I suppose, lose the intensity of that trust and transfer that trust to Jesus. And if you criticise the Catholic Church when someone's in that sort of situation, it can really put them off. And, pastors want to help people that are exploring the gospel in a Protestant setting to be able to sit there and be comfortable. So talking about Roman Catholicism on Sundays can be difficult for church leaders for those sorts of reasons. Small groups, it can be tricky too because Roman Catholicism is not a small subject. It's had some of the smartest people in the Western world and also contributions from the East over the last 2,000 years, formulating a theology, a systematic theology and a worldview that is really very rigorous. So for a small group leader who may not know a lot of stuff about Roman Catholicism to step into this deep pool can be quite threatening. So the way we've put the course together is we've put experts up on video that can give that degree of sympathetic understanding and clarity about Roman Catholicism, and then questions that the group can throw around together to aid their understanding and help each other to get their heads around Roman Catholicism and Catholic people and how to love them and talk to them about Jesus. So we've particularly set up the course for small groups and for small group leaders that don't know much about Roman Catholicism to run it and talk to the guys and girls in their group about it together and learn together about it. And if anyone gets upset, they're not getting upset with a small group leader. They can get upset with me. And right. I'm in Australia and I'm going to be on the beach on Sundays and I can probably cope with that.
So a point of clarity, Mark, real quick. So these small groups, the idea is that there are Roman Catholics that are participating in it, or is it just for evangelicals who want to be better equipped and challenge each other and bounce questions off? So is the idea to have Roman Catholics in it, or just for people who want to be trained in it to go out and then share that?
Yeah. It's written for Protestants to understand Roman Catholics so that they can connect better, particularly in relationship to the gospel with their Catholic friends, families and neighbours. But if there are Roman Catholics in those small groups, it's actually good for them. It's done sympathetically, it's done from primary Roman Catholic documents so that it can help Roman Catholics understand what they believe or may have believed. It can also be quite positive for Roman Catholics in the group because often they want their Protestant friends to understand them better as well. So this gives the group capacity to get a deeper understanding of Roman Catholicism.
And you made this point clear, but just to reemphasize, so a leader of this group does not have to be an expert in Roman Catholicism to do this. You're counting on people like yourself and others who have spent a lot of time learning about it and sharing their knowledge with it. So you can lead it, but it doesn't mean you have to be an expert in it. Yeah.
The people we're drawing on in the training course are people like Leonardo de Chirico, who's interviewed in part of the course, Professor Greg Allison from Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, Simon Cowell, who's a missionary in Italy, Chris Overhaul, who's a missionary in Chile in South America. So there's a number of expert voices that come together to give a clear picture about Roman Catholicism and also helpful tips on how to talk to Catholics about Jesus, or talk with Catholics about Jesus, I should say.
So clearly there's videos in this content. What else? What other types of materials come with this course? Is there discussion questions or guidebooks or testimonies? How does it? What's the content package look like?
Yeah. So using the video medium, we've got video on site in South America, in Rome itself. We have testimonies from Catholics from different cultural backgrounds about what they believe and how they think about things. We've got a digital workbook that you can download and either work on your computers and devices or print out and use in the seminars, which are all professionally produced and quite easy to use. A lot of the content that we get people looking at and engaging with in the small groups are primary Catholic documents. So you're dealing with what the Catholic Church actually says, not what some people think that the Catholic Church says.
In the promotional video that will link to this podcast, you say that in this training you'll provide a holistic understanding of Roman Catholicism. You do so in two different parts. Part one consists of 6 sessions. Part 2 consists of 4 sessions. But help us understand a little bit of what you mean by developing a holistic understanding of Roman Catholicism and how that's accomplished in your sessions.
Love to do that. Make sure we come back to the question about why there are 2 parts as well, because that's a good thing to talk about. Look, when I studied in the seminary, I was taught systematic theology. We as Protestants believe that our understanding of God is not just a lot of isolated, unrelated ideas, but that all of our beliefs hold together in a systematic whole. And that's how God has presented himself to us. So our understanding on the inerrancy of Scripture is related to our understanding of what the church is. It's related to our understanding of who Jesus is. It's related to our understanding of how we come into relationship with Jesus. All of those different beliefs or doctrines are connected in a systematic whole. It hopefully wouldn't surprise you, but Roman Catholicism operates systematically as well. What they believe about Mary is related to what they believe about the church. And you might, as a Protestant, go, what's Mary got to do with the church? Well, Mary's the mother of the church in Roman Catholicism. If you don't understand Mary properly, you don't actually understand what the church is properly. So by understanding the way that all of the bits of Roman Catholicism fit together, it gives us a much better understanding of how Catholics see the world. And it also causes Catholics to go, yeah, actually, you guys get what we're saying. One of the experiences I had when I became a Christian at university, reading the Bible with my Protestant mates, is that all my mates wanted to get me out of the Catholic Church. I said, the Catholic Church isn't the best place for you to be. There are problems with the Catholic Church, and they'd list a whole lot of dot points about different things that they thought the Catholic Church had got wrong. And I didn't really feel that they'd got Roman Catholicism. There were a couple of different things that, we'd agree on or disagree on, but they hadn't got the systematic kind of sense of Roman Catholicism. And it was easy enough for me to go, well, these guys are critical of Roman Catholicism, but they don't really understand it. By looking at Roman Catholicism as a systematic whole, our hope is that people will get Roman Catholicism and Catholics will perceive that better, but it'll also inform our evangelism and discipleship of Catholics much better as well.
Yeah, our long-term listeners will be very familiar with what you're talking about, going back to the pillars of Roman Catholicism: nature, grace, interdependence, Christ Church interconnection. Absolutely. I'm assuming that informs a lot of the material. If you're a new listener, then go way back to the very first episodes, and those are foundational to what we're talking about and what we're all about as a ministry. So,
absolutely.
Why two parts? Why two parts, Mark? Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. Go ahead and say what you're saying, and then.
I was just going to say, if you want to be specific, session 2 of the 10 sessions is nature, grace. Session 3 of the 10 session is the Christ Church interconnection. So yes, very absolutely, good. 100%.
Very good.
Why two parts? Well, there are different sorts of people in this world. Some people learn by doing, and some people learn by thinking. And we wanted to put the course together in a way that's helpful for as many people as we possibly can. I'm a first principle sort of guy, so I like to understand things from the ground up. The first 6 sessions are particularly for someone who's a bit more like me, who likes to understand how all the bits fit together. Whereas one of my sons is, I don't want to understand all theory, I just want to get on and do it, and then I'll make sense of it later. That's what the second part is about. It's about how do we do Catholic evangelism and discipleship. Now, if you start with the second part, and they're both, you can either start with the first half or the second half. It's up to you and your group and how you think it'll work best. If you start with the second half, let's get on and do it. What are some good ideas about evangelising Roman Catholics? You start to ask the question, why are we doing it this way? And that drives you back to the first half, which is understanding how Catholics think. And vice versa. There's no point in understanding Roman Catholicism if we're not going to talk with Catholics about Jesus. So that's why it's in 2 parts.
Okay, very good.
I wouldn't do the whole 10 units straight. What I'd suggest people do is maybe do either the first half or the second half for a term, give it a break for a term or so, and then do the other part. That way you'll get a few goes at reinforcing some of the things that you learn. You can reflect a bit on what you've learned before you start applying it, or you can start trying stuff and then be driven towards the understanding why you're doing things the way you are. Does that make sense?
Yes. Very helpful. I'm assuming some of our listeners may wonder if it's available in any other languages yet, but I'm assuming probably just English at the moment, or?
Yeah, there's a guy working on dubbing the videos into Spanish. Okay. It'll be interesting to see how that looks. These days on Netflix, they seem to be able to do that pretty well, but nothing available at this stage.
Okay. So let's say we have some listeners, pastors, churches who are interested in doing this course or learning more about it, taking next steps. How do they do that?
Yeah. So there's a YouTube video that they can use themselves or to introduce other people in their churches to the course. If you just search in YouTube "Talking with Catholics About Jesus" and Matthias, that will bring that video up for you. In the States and in Europe, if you go to www.matthias.com, you'll be able to find Talking with Catholics About Jesus on their website there. And what I'd probably do is download the free sample units and perhaps do them together as a staff team or with some of your small group leaders, and that way you get a feel for what you what we've got to offer, and you can work out whether that's something you want to buy for an individual or for a small group or for your whole church. All of that's available. It's all digital, so you buy a 2-year subscription and you get to use all of the material for the whole 2 years, both the videos and also the published workbooks.
Now, the YouTube video is the one that I've referenced a couple of times already in this episode, correct? Or is that a different one? Okay.
No,
so we'll add all these links also to the notes of this. Otherwise, you can go to the websites that Mark has mentioned. One question, Mark, and then see if you have anything to add that I haven't covered or raise questions that you wish I had asked. But what inevitably always happens with courses like this is you participate in them, you hear a lot of great material, you feel equipped, you feel confident, you feel ready to go out and engage with Roman Catholics about the gospel and respond to their doubts. And then you're able to do that. The Lord opens up opportunities and unexpected questions come your way. You're like, wait a minute, we didn't talk about this in the course. I mean, obviously this course has come from years and years of experience and doing this and engaging with Roman Catholics. And so it's responding to your experience. But as you've lived this out and you've put into practice the things that you're training, what are some possible unexpected road bumps someone might run into as they engage with Roman Catholics? Is there anything come to mind? Maybe nothing does, but just to not to get so discouraged, right after you feel encouraged. What advice would you have?
There are two things. Yep, good question, Reed. There are two things that I find happen most often with Roman Catholics. One, they often get really excited once the Bible starts to make sense for them. And it's wonderful to kind of sit alongside them as they start discovering all sorts of stuff about the Bible and how the Bible holds together as a whole and how the bits fit together. And it kind of doesn't matter how you read the Bible with Catholics. It's just that you get on and do it and keep doing it. That's a very exciting aspect of Catholic evangelism and discipleship. The other thing that often happens when they hear a Protestant sermon is they'll often say, that really made sense. When I go to church, it doesn't always make sense for me, but that was clear, that made sense. And that can be a really exciting thing for Roman Catholics as well. On the flip side, sometimes when they start reading the Bible and putting their trust in Jesus and starting to grow as a Christian, they can get more committed as Roman Catholics because they kind of haven't got the pieces together to be able to perceive some of the dangers and errors of Roman Catholicism. And sometimes they can go back to the Catholic Church and get more involved as Roman Catholics. And that can be okay too. It's important that you teach people how to read the Bible for themselves. Don't just tell them what it says, because that will be with them forever. God's word and God's spirit is powerful and it always achieves its work, and we can trust that. So if someone's reading the Bible with you from a Catholic background and they seem to have understood the gospel and then they go back to the Catholic Church, just keep praying for them, keep the relationship open, keep trying to read the scriptures with them and answer their questions. Don't cut the relationship off. In my own personal story, the guy that first introduced me to reading the Bible, 10 years later was a guy I went back to and I said, look, I think I need to leave the Catholic Church. Can we kind of talk this through and read some of the Catholic documents together? So the fact that he kept that relationship open, even though for 10 years I've been reading the Bible with him, I started running Bible studies in Catholic churches. I still hadn't left the Catholic Church. By having that relationship there, he was the guy I went back to when God had worked in my heart to finally cut the cord and leave. Yeah. So, trusting God's word, trusting God's spirit.
I think it's also a good piece of advice for people undertaking something like this. Is it's a long-term investment. Rarely do those do people. It can be. So not to get discouraged if things don't happen as quickly as we would like that they do. Often that's the case. You also mentioned, go ahead.
I was just going to say the flip side of that is when a Catholic gets converted, often it'll impact another 20 or 30 people in their lives, particularly if they're really connected within the Catholic Church, because not many Catholics go through the experience of seeing someone leave the Catholic Church to become Christian. I see lots of people leave the Catholic Church to fall away from God altogether. So it can be quite a confronting thing, not just for the person who gets converted, but also for many of their friends, families. So when God works through one person, he's often working through 20.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned in conversations with you in the past that, and this is your story as well, that university students are particularly good group to engage with this kind of conversation and thought, because they're maybe thinking about these things seriously for the first time. Is that correct? Do I remember correctly? That's been your experience?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of fruit of Catholics coming to Christ in university contexts. In Australia, Catholics and Protestants generally go to different schools. So both Catholics and Protestants don't know much about each other until they get to university. So that mixing creates lots of questions for both groups, and that can be a really fruitful time for Protestants to share the gospel with Catholics and see them come to Christ. So that's certainly a really good opportunity for reaching Roman Catholics. Other good opportunities for reaching Roman Catholics are community groups, like we talked about a little bit earlier on, like being a visible Christian in a sporting club or in a community group. That can often be a great context to do Catholic evangelism and discipleship. Some of the youth group programs, if Catholic parents are willing to send their kids to a Protestant youth group program, can be a great opportunity for kids to hear the gospel. Again, in Australia, the Catholic Church doesn't do a great job with their youth programs, but you've got all these Catholic parents with kids growing up, and these parents want their kids to believe in Jesus and to kind of hang out with, good people. So Protestant youth groups can be an attractive place sometimes for Catholic parents to send their kids on a Friday night. I don't know what day of the week different people run their youth groups on, but in Australia it's almost always on a Friday night. You've got a bunch of teenagers, you want to get them out of your hair, they want to do stuff that sounds dangerous, you want them to be safe. So a Protestant youth group can be an opportunity for Catholic kids to hear the gospel. Testimony sharing is another great and very fruitful way of Catholics coming to hear the gospel. Sometimes, I think it's happening less and less now, but sometimes the discussion between Catholics and Protestants can really revolve around doctrinal disputes, and I haven't seen a lot of fruit in those sorts of discussions. But when you share your testimony with someone, no one can say that's wrong, because that's you. That's what's happened in your life. That's your experience. And by sharing your testimony with a Catholic, often it will open up questions for them that they might even be willing to ask, like, you go to church because you actually want to. I go to church because I have to. How does that work? And when you read the Bible, it makes sense to you. Or when I read the Bible, it's just kind of words on a page, and you know that you're going to heaven. How does that work? I'm not sure. So testimony sharing can be another opportunity. Yes, there's lots of challenges in sharing the gospel with Catholics. We all know and experience that. But God's also given us opportunities, which we should make the most of.
Very good. That's very helpful, Mark. Thank you very much. Do you have anything else you would add, or that I did not ask you, or that you would want our listeners to listen before we close, or our listeners to hear before we close?
Oh, mate, as always, the importance of prayer. What we're engaging in is not just a human and intellectual activity, it's a supernatural activity. And we can do a really, really bad job, and God can use it for his glory, and that's why we keep praying.
Mark, thank you very much. We'll certainly be praying for this course, and that the Lord will use it and equip the church to share the gospel with Roman Catholics. Again, the course is Talking with Catholics about Jesus. We'll put all the links that Mark referenced in the notes of this episode, or of course you can just Google them yourself and find them online. For more about the Reformanda Initiative, you can go to our website, reformandainitiative.org, where we'll have articles and other resources. We have Leonardo's VaticanFiles.org, a monthly engagement with Roman Catholicism. There's you can follow us on X at Reformanda Rome. But Mark, again, thank you so much, and we'll certainly be praying for this resource.
Thanks, Reed, and thanks for your fellowship over the years, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to all of our listeners, and until next time, God bless.